We turn to you now to make a new start. More than just tears, we give you our hearts. Let the people cry and call, that we might stand and not fall. Save us now. Refreshing breeze, people set free. What a wondrous thing that would be. Let us be glad and rejoice. Open our ears to hear your voice.
Hey, everybody. So glad we're together today on what was a stormy Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it's just mainly a wet Wednesday.
Yes, very wet.
It didn't do much at our house, but some places, I told you a little bit ago,
Yeah.
somebody's roof blew off. And
That was wild.
yeah, and we didn't get any hail or
Did
anything.
you see the airport?
No.
They had to pull out their snow removal crews because there was so much hail on the ground at the airport.
Oh, I didn't even know it hailed.
Yeah,
So it was up north of us.
Oh, yeah, up north. Got
That's north of us if
smoked.
you don't
Yeah.
know where we live or
Yeah.
where we are right this minute.
Yeah, they had to bring out their shovels and plow like it was
Well, that
snow
was quite a
'cause there
storm
was
then.
So much hail sitting up there, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I
was
missed
wild.
it. I have to look that. That's probably
Yeah,
online.
yeah, I'll find a picture of it and send it to you.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty.
I was like,
pretty
what
cool.
in the world? Like
And we were
this?
just talking about. He was asking about what is it, we got more coming, but I think it's
yeah,
more mild
I
today.
think it's just rain. They said 3 to 10, I think, is the watch.
Oh
for
yeah,
it.
right.
So,
So we'll see about it. But anyway, cooled things off a little bit. Even at our pond out here, it was raining and somebody was
yeah, I
fishing.
saw a
and-
guy fishing out there.
I don't know
pulled
who he
in.
was. I don't know if he goes to our church. Sometimes we, people come and
Right.
if it's not an overload or anything.
Yeah, if it's just one or two guys.
Yeah, I
whatever.
mean it's okay.
Yeah.
And,
I don't think they want to eat it though. Whatever they catch out of there. With the dye. In
Oh yeah,
there.
we
Put a little
dye
color in there,
to make the pond look nicer.
Yeah.
and the fish come out blue.
With an arm and a leg.
a real bluegill.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, an extra bluegill.
Well, there's a lot of things going on in the world today that hard to keep up with everything. But I picked a scripture and a title, "When Government Becomes God." I think is
Yeah,
what-
yeah, that's
is
a
that
good
what we'll
title.
put? Yeah,
It intrigued me.
and and so I thought we would start, and you could read a scripture
Okay,
from Romans 13,
sure.
and well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Just
Okay.
the first verse.
You mean go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God.
Okay, so this has been difficult for people because it was written about 57 A.D.,
Okay.
which Nero, a bad guy, is leading Rome, and then there's Caesar too. There's the Emperor Nero, and then there's Caesar.
Sure.
And but Nero was the emperor, but in that time, Caesar was declared God. And you probably know, we've talked enough that the Roman coins had Caesar is
Right.
God on it. Just
Yep.
like in ours, we have in God we trust.
Sure.
So the Jews, when they would go to the temple to offer sacrifice or tithe or give money or whatever, that's what a money changer was. They were taking the Roman coins, which they needed to do business in
Sure.
the Roman world that was in control of Israel, and they go change them and give the Jewish economy into the church or into the tabernacle or the temple. And so that's where the money changers. And so when you read about the money changers and Jesus comes in and knocks the
Right.
tables over and all that, it wasn't, people get mixed up that, okay, there's something wrong. They shouldn't have had money changers in there. Well, they always had money changers in
Sure.
there. What he knocked it over is because they were dishonest
Right,
and they were
right.
charging terrible fees and interest rate
To do it,
just so these people could give to God.
Yeah,
And
crazy.
everything was corrupt. And so, but I remember we went to a church once, or several did this to us. And we didn't have merchandise like they have today. Like today, these people, they got lots of merch. We just had some records, and some tapes, But the church said, no, you can't sell them in the foyer in the church. But you can sell them on the sidewalk. And I'm
That's
thinking
funny.
like, well, okay, but they're
took it a little
they're
literal.
taking this
Yeah.
like the problem was the money changers. The problem was they were buying and selling. The
Right.
problem was they were
The
corrupt.
corruption.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was planning on being honest.
Well, now I want to be corrupt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I'll show you why I oughta.
I'll
But-
sell them from the pulpit.
Yeah. So that's the deal thing we're dealing with is we're
Yeah.
dealing with AD 57 and emperors and Rome and then people read that and they would think that Paul is writing that we should now subject ourselves to Rome,
Sure.
be in submission to Rome because all authorities. But let's read verse 4 then. You can drop
Sure.
down just to
Yep.
save a little time.
For the one in authority is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for rulers do not bear the sword for no reason. They are God's servants, agents of wrath to bring punishment on the wrongdoer.
So now we've got to change because when he says, no, governments are there for your good, not for your submission,
Sure.
but for your good.
Sure.
And we're submitting to what? We submit to their good because they're good. And it's true of the United States today. Really, two kind of things is when we look at our government is protection, right? And pushing bad,
Sure.
bringing good, pushing back
Pushing
bad
off,
or
right.
evil,
Yep,
right?
yep.
So protecting us from evil or whatever bad and promoting good. So therefore now you say, well, our government works for our good.
Sure.
Then you can say, oh, I see. So we need to give those people working for our good honor and submit. Well, submit's a hard word maybe for some people, but give them honor and follow the ways they're trying because
Recognize what they're doing.
yeah, and because they're trying to restrain evil and bring good and protect us from
Right,
enemies.
right.
And that's what that's real basic what governments should do.
Yep.
And so that's kind of what this is about instead. And on the other hand, then but what they did then, what was the problem is, because he's comparing it, he's trying to get him to figure this out, is the state or the empire there in Israel became the God to them.
Right.
Now they became God, and so the state then, as the servant, it isn't God anymore. Now it's that. And
Yeah.
when a person then switches over and begins to resist the true God, he doesn't get free.
Right.
He just has to pick another
Right.
God.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just another God.
He's just bound to something else.
Yeah, it just falls into
right.
place. You can't get out of the world.
Exactly.
And so if you reject the true God, there's other gods everywhere.
The God
you
of
know?
this world.
Yeah, the God of this world,
Yep.
and so then they had to fall to that government, and so then also a good example of that. It's interesting that we're reading out of Romans 13, where we're reading about the Roman Empire and how Paul is helping them adjust. In that you should pay taxes. Don't fight them.
Sure.
He's not approving of them.
Yep.
But you're not going to get anywhere by being angry and trying to fight them.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So
You're
he
spinning
says,
your wheels.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they can do some good, and let them do the good. If you fight them, it's going to be bad for you.
Yeah.
Okay, but then you read interesting. Then you go to Revelation chapter 13, and just probably by coincidence in the numbers, but nevertheless, there's where the everybody talks about the beast.
Yeah. Okay.
And the beast in is this says government is there to do you good and to serve you. And in there, then, of course, the beast then turns to be serving, everything's serving himself, exalts himself, demands allegiance, and controls people and kills
Right.
people and persecutes Christians and all that kind of stuff. So there's the balance of it is, so that wouldn't be the one that we'd say is not doing for our good.
Sure.
So you wouldn't want to, follow that and support
Right.
that. So, so I wrote down here in Romans 13, government meant to be under God.
Submitted to. Yeah.
Yeah, and in Revelation 13, government takes the place of God. And so there's the difference. And I hear my phone going.
Yeah. It's vibrating.
You're not supposed to, but I know who
Sorry.
it is.
Yeah.
But
Good.
anyway, maybe it'll be good news. Somebody's looking for something. I hope they found it. Okay, so the problem is then what we have even today. What's going on today now? We set that up of what's going on today. And wait a minute, I wrote something down here. What's that? Oh, yeah. Okay, so we'll back up to our country a little bit when
Sure.
our country was formed, and in the early days of our country, religion influenced government. I mean, you can
Right,
just study
right.
it, and it's absolutely true.
It's in all the doctrines, all the documents.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
right.
and their attitudes through government were religious influence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and now we've lost that because now we don't have religion influencing government. We have government now becoming God to
Yeah,
us.
Right.
See, it's flipped, just like the Roman Empire became the God to the people.
Yeah.
And Caesar was God, and what they did was they began to provide everything. So you wonder, how did they? We know that the Roman government controlled
Right.
people.
Yep.
And controlled the situation. They never wanted anything to get out of control. But it was a little different in Israel because dealing with Jews, but in other places where they controlled a big part. You'll get this. Guess how they one way. Of course, they had spears and swords, and
sure.
they kill people, and if you came against them, throw you in prison. But they controlled them in a very another interesting way. They controlled them by giving them bread, free bread, and entertainment. The gladiators, the Colosseum.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they built the Colosseum, and you think, why they built it just because? No, it was the people started liking it, and they would submit to the government or be less troubled because they liked free
Interesting.
bread.
A free bus ride to
And,
New York
and
City.
they liked the entertainment.
Yeah,
They liked the
right.
entertainment. And so they like that you can really, even in our day, you can fall for the entertainment.
Sure.
And there's so much entertainment in my phone and the TV and all the stuff going on and in the
Yeah.
community
Yeah.
like that. And all of a sudden you begin to pull back from God because you really, entertainment.
You're satisfied.
It's made to be pleasurable
Yeah.
and fun.
Right. You're satisfied. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
God isn't really made to be fun. I don't even think he's in praising him, and that is the fullness of joy, pleasure.
Right.
It's in that. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to be a servant of the Lord,
Sure.
and servants serve,
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have the glamour of the Colosseum, certainly.
Right.
So it'd be the same thing today, which could be like free food or free this,
Mm-hmm.
and then they opened up Arrowhead Stadium for football, and you could go for free.
Yeah.
If you were a
Right.
citizen of Rome or you're a citizen of Kansas City
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever, you get to go free. And then
That's funny.
a politician comes along who made it free
Right.
and has some policies that maybe I don't know if this is good for our
But it's
city or not.
free, yeah.
But I don't want to mess with it because what if he makes us start buying tickets?
Yeah, what if he takes
I mean,
away
that
our Chiefs
is
games?
real
Yeah.
thinking. That's
Well,
real thinking.
That's kind of what they're establishing
Yeah,
in New
so-
York City, right?
Exactly, and
I
that's
mean,
where we're going
the
with
free
this.
bus rides.
Yeah,
free
so
food.
so all of a sudden government becomes God because the things that they're promising are things they really can't deliver. It's always failed.
Right,
But
exactly.
they're
Always
promising
failed.
things that only God can provide. And so, but let's just look back at our Bible, like God's provision. Like does He provide? Will He provide money and finances? Does He help us
Right.
find? Yeah, there's lots of promises about how you do that, how you work within God's financial system, and He help you,
Yep.
and healing and strength and hope and great.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
the list goes on and on of all the things that God gives us promises and wants to do in our lives if we'll, get on His side
Yeah,
and get in His
exactly.
program.
Exactly.
Like that. Well, then now people are rejecting God and going and wanting the government now
Yeah.
to be the place of God. And the problem with that is
Yeah,
government can't change hearts.
And you're submitting to a thing that can't deliver. Like what we
They
talked
cannot
about at
deliver.
the beginning of this, we opened it up with people are. Oh, I just lost my train of thought. Gosh darn it.
Here. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not-
the servant. Okay, so you're leaving Christianity. Kind of going on a little tangent here. You're leaving Christianity or the church or whatever, thinking there's freedom outside of it, right?
Yeah.
You just think that promise that you think that's true, but you're actually just leaving the covering of Christianity, of God, of your pastor, of whoever, whatever the situation is, and now you're facing all this with no covering, and you're having to submit to this with no promise of hope, no promise of future, or if they do promise, it's just a facade that won't deliver.
And it also
Right.
it's very tricky because no responsibility.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
the grocery stores, they're opening government ones, and so if you don't think about it, you think we're going to go in there and get 30% off. I think that's what it is now. They're trying to make that. So we're going to buy our groceries, and then we automatically get 30% off.
Yeah.
More than we would at the
Right.
the
McKeever's or whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. More than that. So you have a terrible situation that doesn't look terrible
Right.
to the person because it feels like you're getting 30%
The
off
government's helping me out.
until you get your paycheck, and then the money has come out
Yep.
to pay that 30% for people that are not paying taxes either. They don't pay any. The
Right.
people that don't pay taxes get 30% off
Sure.
too. But you're financing housing and food out of your taxes, and it feels
Yeah,
free
it's-
because you're not doing it on the spot.
Right.
It feels like, hey, this is a great deal. And so, and then the other part, maybe people don't think of this. So here, this grocery store, they give you 30% off. Well, what grocery store are you not going to go to now?
Right.
You're not going to go to that other one
Right.
because you don't get 30% off.
Exactly.
But they don't get tax help.
Exactly.
They have to pay.
Yep.
They have to pay taxes. This grocery store with the 30%
Getting the
off
grants, the
doesn't have
government
to
funding.
pay any
Yeah,
taxes.
exactly.
It's
It's
government
unreal.
funded,
It's unreal.
and it sounds so like this is pretty good, or housing, or whatever they throw in, and it's been tried by other things, and
Yep.
it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's just chipping away at your liberty, one
And-
at a time.
and-
you don't even realize it, right?
No, and when the government becomes God, and they basically, which I have in my new book, we've talked about it, a phrase, the fairness gospel. We're going to make
Yeah,
this fair
right,
for everybody.
right.
And when you do that, it's never worked because then somebody rises up to control the fairness. So
Yep.
I'll
There's
help.
always
I'm
gonna
going to
be a
help
leader.
keep it fair.
Exactly.
I'll make sure it's fair, and we'll make sure everybody, bows down to this fairness.
right.
Everybody does what they're told. Everybody follows the pattern. And if you get somebody that doesn't want to follow the pattern, now you've got somebody that's controlling,
Yep.
and it's kind of a beast type thing.
Exactly.
And that's what happened in all the countries, as we've talked about the Bolshevik Revolution here
Yep.
before. But it was bread. I think it was bread, peace, land. I think that's what the poor people were yelling, and
Wow.
they thought this is so good, and so these revolutionaries came in and said, "We'll give it," but Lenin found the opportunity. But you've got to have somebody manage fairness,
Yeah, exactly.
and when finally, then if you did not adhere to what they said
say,
you were
yeah.
supposed to do to keep it like that, now you're under the bondage of them, and they're starting to kill you or imprison you
Exactly.
because you're not doing the fairness
Right.
across the board.
Right.
And they came and they took their money away, as you know, we've talked about that, and they took it from the rich,
Yep.
and they took it from the middle, and they're, it was just
From everyone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now there's an exception to this that I wanted to bring up while we still have time, because I have down here, government begins promising what only God can do or God can give.
Yeah, right.
But in the Great Depression, then, when the 30s hit, or 1929, and the stock market crashed, people were out of, it's important what people were out of. Yes, they were out of bread, right? They were out of food. Not everybody. I had Kathy's grandparents and my grandparents both worked for the railroad, so they had good
Okay,
jobs, and
yeah.
they didn't ever do without.
Sure.
And that was kind of government supplemented
Yeah,
job too.
right.
It was a good job, but there were people that didn't have much, and they would go around and they'd have soup kitchens. They would go to door to door and say, "You got anything for me?" Like that. So it looked like, what are they out of? They're out of money, and they're out of food.
Yeah.
Got to be the two big
Right.
ones, and maybe out of housing. Okay, but that was not the problem. The problem was they were out of work. And if you don't replace it with work,
Yeah.
then you just replace it with goods that have to be paid by somebody else. So FDR, Roosevelt came in, and he came up with the New Deal. And it was sort of like we see today. He
Sure.
says, we're going to put government workers, we're going to hire government people to build bridges, and government to do it, okay? And so it was sort of socialism in a way.
Right.
But it was the New Deal. And so the government came in, and it worked, and it got them out of, eventually everything came out. It was a long time, but eventually it came out of it. The difference is the people then didn't want free food. They wanted a job.
Right.
They went
They
looking
wanted to
for
provide
work.
for themselves. Yeah.
And when the
yeah.
Depression started was ending, what do you think they did? They went and got a job.
Right.
Rather than say, this is good, the government will just give us stuff.
Yeah, we can just fully depend on this.
And so
Yeah.
it was a different mentality.
Right.
I want to work. Can you give me a job? The idea is their thinking was, when you work, you get money so you can get food and have a house and a car and those things, rather than the government will supply, and we'll get housing from the government, we'll get food from the government, we'll get whatever healthcare from the government, and everything comes from the government. and to a certain level, it feels free.
Yep.
And to the others, it's like a credit card. You have to pay later in your
Exactly.
taxes.
Exactly.
And taxes go way up.
Skyrocket.
Yeah, taxes go way up, and especially the people that are working. And then
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get frustrated because you're paying for people that are not
Or-
working
they're
and
dependent
could
on
work,
you.
and could
Yeah,
work,
exactly,
and
exactly.
and could work. And we'll take another mentality that's different. Then right after, pretty close after that, the Depression was 1929. By 1939, 10 years later, World War II was breaking out in Europe. And, of course, the United States was slow to get in that, but
Yep.
after Pearl Harbor, they jumped in.
Right.
And it was a great time because everybody wanted to contribute. And so the men went off to war, so to speak, like
Yeah.
that. And the women worked in the factories.
Exactly. Making the bullets.
Yeah,
Right? And making
Rosie the Riveter, they
Yeah.
had that name.
Yeah.
And everybody worked for the cause of the nation.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
then when the war was over, they went back, and most women went back into not all women stayed in work, but they also went back into the homes.
Sure.
So in the 1950s, there were still what they used to call housewives and homemakers.
Yeah.
Was very, very common. My mom was one.
Sure.
She worked during the war, but then she went back and had
Wow.
a family, and
Yeah.
and my dad worked, and that's how it went. And of course, then as inflation went up and troubles came, then now both are starting to work rather than do without
Yeah.
or go slow. If we both get a job, then we can get a better house.
Sure.
We can go. And now what do? Well, now we'll have to put kids,
school,
or
yeah.
in school, and they'll come home and watch TV
Right.
as that, and
Yep.
and so the whole
It's
world.
slowly tearing apart the family unit.
Yeah, 60s,
Ultimately,
60s held together by late 60s, and then because I was a kid then, and then by 70s I was going into high school and junior high and on, and everything changed.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
idea of socialism, not to the degree it is today, socialism, government, supply. Even when I don't know. I might have been married. I'm not sure when this was. Maybe I was thereabouts. But anyway, they started giving away in our town. They started giving away free cheese, and they'd
Interesting.
bring a semi truckload, and they'd open the doors.
Uh-huh.
But you had to be. I think you had to have some identification or something that let you know that you're in more poverty or lower income.
Gotcha. Okay.
Wasn't the higher income people, but you could get about as much as you wanted. So,
Huh.
oh yeah, that's right, because some people in our church did it. I know now. I remember.
Interesting.
They did,
Okay.
and they had all this cheese.
Yeah.
They had so much cheese they couldn't eat it. So what did they do? I mean, it wasn't. But what do you think they did? They brought it to church
Nice.
and gave it away to the people that really weren't supposed to have it, but it would just go to waste.
Sure.
And the problem was it was really good cheese, really good cheese. And I'm going like, I can't get it, but you can get it. But you can get as much as you need.
Right.
And if there's more, then you can supply to me through them, who I'm not supposed to get it.
Sure,
Or
sure.
anybody else. So the system, was
It's like a
just
cheese black market.
yeah, and it's just throwing at the money they spent
Sure.
on systems like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
And who's paying for that? The guy who is not supposed to get any cheese
Yeah.
is paying for other people to get cheese.
Right.
And then I got it anyway. So,
Yeah. Sure.
so that's where we are today. We have a mentality that people are not turning to God, who is
Right.
a supply. Our God will supply your every need. We have all these great scriptures, and even Christians are doing it. See, the Christians are thinking now this is probably what Christianity is supposed to be.
Right.
We'll get together and we'll get the fairness, and we'll get socialism, and we'll open free things so everybody has everything they need.
Yeah.
And then they don't realize you're either going to have to become one of those people that doesn't have anything to get
Exactly.
it, or you're going to be able to get it, but you're going to pay for it out of really, really high taxes.
Yep.
And so the system's never worked for any country
Exactly.
yet.
Yep.
But there's a revolution going on in our country today to make God a savior.
I think so.
The government be our savior, and that can save us. Set up programs. Let the
right.
government do it. I came home and turned on the news last night, and boy, it was really brief, but they were talking about something bad here and something bad there, and one of the guests on it, which was he didn't know what he was thinking, but he just out of his mouth came, the government should do something about that, and you go like, there's that thinking though.
Yeah.
I don't need to do anything
Dependent on
about
the
it.
government to do it
Yeah.
all, right.
We had a lady early on when I first became a pastor came and was talking about some family that needed groceries or stuff or something. I don't know, some stuff. And she looked right at me and said, "The church needs to do something." And I said, "Good, go do it.
Yeah,
You are the
right,
church.
right.
Who do you think the church is? It's
Yeah,
people."
right.
But she thought in a governmental way, like the
institutional,
church
yeah.
has a fund, doesn't it?
Right.
The church has some money. Let's spend the church's money rather than my money.
Right.
And that's the mentality. So anyway, that's what I see.
Yeah.
It's a revolution that's moving across and very, very deceptive.
And it's very dangerous because ultimately, like, the plans of the enemy for us are to change our loyalty from God, our dependence from God, to different things.
Absolutely.
Whether
That's
it's
it.
Satan himself, whether it's the government, as long as it's not God, the enemy is having his way. Right?
Yeah, that is
And
the
so when our
loyalty
peace,
loyalty is the
yeah.
bottom line.
When
It's
our
always
peace
that.
comes from the government, when our loyalty belongs to the government because that's where our peace is associated with, then we're off track with God ultimately.
Yeah,
And I
so-
think it's kind of the bottom line of the whole
So,
thing. Right?
in the 80s, that you'd hear people say, "The devil's after my job. The devil's after
Yeah,
my money. You know,
right,
pray for me.
right.
The devil's after my kids." And I said, "Listen, I know your kids. The devil doesn't want them." You know?
He already has them.
Yeah. And I'd say, "You're getting it wrong. He's not after your money. He's after your loyalty."
Yeah, exactly.
So he's messing with you
Yep.
so that you'll get confused and think, if I make some changes, I'll fix this. But maybe I need less God and
Right.
more of something else.
Right.
So that's what's happening. More government and
Yep.
more entertainment too.
Exactly.
It's getting people, and so it's after your loyalty. So that's why I said when government becomes God,
Yeah, that's
or
good.
government, or even you see government as the savior. Government's going to save our
Save
country.
me. Government will
It
save me.
can't.
Yeah.
Because it can't change the hearts. And so all it does is divide us, because some people like this government, some people like that government.
Yeah.
And then now they're mad, and now we're more divided than ever,
Right.
rather than have our hearts transformed by. That's why we need a revival of the
Yeah.
Spirit of God, a revival
Yeah.
of the things of God. And so that religion is now influencing our decisions and influencing government and influencing our families. And we need a revival of that.
Exactly.
Otherwise, if we go this way, it's going to be a long, hard lesson, in my opinion.
It's going to have to be a really big revival.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed just
Yeah.
talking about some of the things going on in the church, what history, we got some history
Yeah,
in
that's
there.
good.
And some contemporary issues that we're dealing with
Yep.
now. So thanks for watching.